Hello everybody, and welcome to Ancient Architects. Please subscribe to the channel for regular content on ancient architecture, as well as all the latest news from the world of archaeology. The incredible pyramids of Giza have stood the test of time, but yes, they're stripped of their beautiful casing stone, they've been attacked by explosives, tunnelled into and looted, but some 4,500 years later they're still structurally sound. But sadly, the pyramids are pretty much empty today, with only a handful of artefacts ever found inside them. In the Great Pyramid King's Chamber there is a sarcophagus. A stone ball, wooden rod and copper hook were also found in the Queen's Chamber air channels, and a plate of iron was also found on the outside of the pyramid near the end of one of the air channels. In the Pyramid of Menkaure there was once a stone sarcophagus, now lost at sea, a wooden coffin from the Sate period of Egypt, and human bones that were even younger. Notable finds really are few and far between, but until recently, I'd never heard of a couple of discoveries from the Pyramid of Khafre. We know the pyramid had been reopened sometime after the 4th dynasty, because the bones of a bull had been laid to rest inside the sarcophagus at the western end of the burial chamber. Nobody believes that this bull belonged to the Old Kingdom and was clearly placed inside the sarcophagus at some later time. Arab explorers had also been into the Khafre Pyramid, probably in the 13th century AD, because there was once charcoal writing on the walls. But it was Giovanni Belzoni who first re-entered the pyramid in the modern era, in 1818, writing his name and date in large letters in the burial chamber. Howard Weiss and John Perring would enter and record details in 1837, followed by Piazzi Smythe in 1867 and Flinders Petrie in 1883. Since then, a whole host of people have passed through the northern entrance into the pyramid. By all accounts, besides the bones from the bull, there was little of interest found inside the Khafre Pyramid. But earlier this week, I saw a video published on YouTube by Nacho on his fantastic channel Dendro de la Pyramide, which I've linked below in the description. Nacho's channel is full of fascinating facts and observations on ancient Egypt, and thanks to the new auto-dubbing feature on YouTube, his work is now accessible to a wider audience, so I would recommend subscribing. Nacho's latest video was titled, quote, 2 unusual objects found in the Pyramid of Khafre, end quote, and the contents of the video, the discoveries in question, came to his attention thanks to his good friend Javier Sierra, and also Robert Boval. The details of the find were published in 2001 in the Spanish magazine Masala de la Ciencia, issue 148, but the story begins with the publishing of the Orion Mystery in 1993, the famous book by Adrian Gilbert and Robert Boval. 5 years after the book was published, Boval received a letter from Michael Cole, which stated that his father, Herbert Cole, was responsible for fumigating the Khafre Pyramid in 1946, which at the time had some form of infestation. Hydrogen cyanide gas was pumped into the pyramid, and extractor fan units had to be installed to ensure the safe removal of the gas after the pyramid had been fumigated. Herbert Cole was installing the units, and when doing so, in the gaps between some of the pyramid blocks, he came across 2 objects. Precisely which blocks is sadly not known, and Herbert Cole passed away in the 1990s. The objects were a piece of wood and a piece of bone, identified as a finger bone. Well, specifically a left thumb bone. The wood immediately broke into 4 pieces, but Herbert kept 3 of them. Until his death in 1993, Herbert maintained that the wood came directly from a joint between 2 blocks, and so believed it to be as old as the pyramid itself. But could this be true? Well, with the letter to Robert Beauval, there were also some plastic containers, and inside was the piece of bone which looked to have been violently snapped off from the hand, and also the pieces of wood. Michael Cole wanted Beauval to radiocarbon date the wood, and hence getting a hard scientific date for the pyramid. In 1998, Beauval showed the artefacts to Zahi Hawass, and Hawass expressed his doubts over the provenance of the relics, and hence any radiocarbon dating results. According to Beauval, Hawass did not see any reason to even test them. Beauval's friend and author Javier Sierra offered to have the relics dated through his friend Dr. Fernand Alonso of the Geochronology Laboratory, and so the relics were sent and tested, and the results came back. And first the wood. It was dated to 2215 before present, plus or minus 55 years, which, when calibrated, dates the wood between 395 and 157 BC, and that's with a 95% probability. And you may think that that is underwhelming, because clearly the wood is not the same age as the Khafre Pyramid, but it does tell us something important. The earliest known time the pyramid was entered into after it was closed up in the Old Kingdom. Herodotus saw no entrances into the pyramid in the 5th century BC, a point echoed by Diodorus Siculus in the 1st century BC and Pliny the Elder in the 1st century AD. But with this piece of wood, it was clear the pyramid had been entered into before the beginning of Christianity, before year 0 of the Gregorian calendar. I myself and many others believe all the Old Kingdom pyramids were most likely violated in the First Intermediate Period, before the Middle Kingdom. But as Beauval asks on his website, when Herodotus came to Egypt, could the pyramids still have been sealed? Does the wood coincide with the first looting of the pyramid? Well, unless any more finds come to light, I guess we can never know for sure. So, what about the thumb bone? Well, in person it apparently looks quite ancient, so the findings were a surprise. It actually dates to between 1837 and 1909. Yes, it's only 116 to 188 years old. And just look at the lowest date in the range, 1837, the exact time when Howard Weiss and John Perring were leading activities on the Giza Plateau. As Beauval says, could the thumb have come off the hand of one of Weiss's workers? I would say this is likely. I did check Weiss's books, but no incident of a lost thumb was recorded. Nacho Ares was kind enough to send me a PDF of the article from the Spanish magazine from 2001, which I'll attempt to translate into English and make available for anyone that's interested. It was written by Javier Sierra in collaboration with Robert Beauval, a subject now lost to time, with the only references being Nacho's new video, Beauval's website, some posts on a forum and this magazine. No, we don't learn a great deal about the Pyramid of Khafre, but it does tell us something. It gives us some clear evidence of when the pyramid was entered into before the modern era. And I want to add, whether you believe the pyramids were tombs or not, when people debate the subject, many often say, okay, if it is a tomb, where is the mummy? Well, the Cole relics are an important reminder that in the modern era, it would be an absolute miracle if the pyramids contained anything at all from the Old Kingdom. I believe they were first looted in the First Intermediate Period, probably entered into in the Middle Kingdom, Second Intermediate Period in the New Kingdom, then again in Egypt's Late Period, and by the Romans and the Greeks, in the Middle Ages and numerous times in the modern era. It would be a real miracle to find anything of ancient importance inside the pyramids today. Ancient looters would have taken anything with value, and anything remaining would have been taken as souvenirs over the past few millennia. And this is another reason why the sealed big void in the Great Pyramid is so exciting. Even if it contains no treasure, anything we find, even if it's just some old rope, a piece of wood, a stone tool and so on, would be priceless relics today. Items that must date to the pyramid's construction, because as far as we know the void is a sealed space. And so any finds could tell us something about the origins of the pyramids. I have to thank Nacho again for bringing this to our attention in his recent video, and to Robert Boval for leading the investigation more than 25 years ago, and also Javier Sierra for his fantastic article and the pictures of the finds. And thank you for watching. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Ancient Architects. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, please like the video, and please leave a comment below. Thank you very much.